Hey, Paul Lee, I'm a professionallystrong.com, and I want to help you become the best and strongest version of yourself. Now, this is part 2 of an ongoing series where I'm talking about the 5 biggest mistakes that I see in the gym. Last time, in part 1, the first mistake that I talked about was going too heavy. Now, everyone has this certain range that's optimal for them to work out in. It's where you're going to see the best results. Now, if you go too far on either end, it's not good. If you go too heavy, you're going to be increasing your risk for injury and you're decreasing your results. And last time, that's what I talked about. So if you haven't checked out that video, there is a link in the description down below. This time, I'm going to talk about that opposite end of the spectrum. It's another problem that I see a lot, and that is going too easy. Now, when I'm talking about going too easy, I'm not just talking about using very lightweight, because there's a lot more to it than that. What I'm talking about is more the effort that someone uses when they're in the gym. You got to remember that the end result of any workout that you are partaking in should be some kind of adaptation in the body. And that adaptation could be a bunch of different things, including fat loss, muscle gain, strength gain. There's many different adaptations that could happen from working out. And how your body adapts is dependent on what you're doing in that workout. So for an adaptation to actually occur, you're going to need to provide some stimulus to the body that makes that happen. Now, this stimulus can be in the form of resistance training, doing some weights, doing some cardio, or some other type of workout that is challenging to you. Now, if your workouts are too easy, you're not giving your body enough of that stimulus. It's not having a reason that it needs to adapt. So your workouts, they need to challenge your body in some capacity. And the way you choose to challenge your body will determine what kind of results you get. All right, so before I get into a couple of examples of workouts that are way too easy and a few ways to fix it, let me get into a few of the exceptions because there are some important ones for you to consider. And the first is a situation when you're recovering from an injury. I know, they suck, but they happen every now and then, even if you're super careful. And when you're dealing with the injury, safety and recovering from that injury, those are going to be your most important things, not going as hard as possible in your workout. Another situation when an easier workout is appropriate is during a deload period. And if you're not familiar with what a deload is, it's kind of an active way for your body to recover. Now, if you're always training near 100% of your capacity all the time, eventually your body's not going to recover quick enough and you're going to have a higher chance for injury. Not good. So a deload period, it's a time when you're still working out, but you're not going as hard. You're using the minimal amount of weight and the minimal amount of training volume in order to maintain what you've already accomplished. And during this deload period, because you're not going as hard, it does give the body a good chance to recover. So when there's an injury and when you're deloading, those are the 2 most common situations where it is appropriate to use a lower intensity for your workouts. There are a few more, but those are the 2 that you're most likely going to run into. So when I'm talking about going too easy and using too little effort, not necessarily talking about using lightweight, because there is a difference between using light weights and going too light. There are some exercises that you actually get more benefit with using lightweight because you could actually really focus on the muscles that you want and really get that contraction squeezing a lot. And there's also certain goals where it's more appropriate to use lighter weight. So using light weights can actually be more beneficial depending on your goal. And this actually leads me to my next point about hard, easy workout, and that is the inverse relationship between intensity and volume. Now, intensity, it's usually defined by the weight you're using. There are some other variables that can affect the intensity of an exercise, but when we're talking about resistance training, lifting weights, intensity is usually describing how much weight you're actually lifting. Now, volume is a little different. It's about how much work you're doing. And this can be defined by the amount of reps that you're doing, the amount of sets, the overall amount of work that you're doing in a particular workout, or the overall work that you're doing in a week. And the higher your intensity, the lower your volume needs to be to see a good training effect. And the opposite is also true, because the lower intensity, the higher your volume needs to be to see a good training effect as well. And with that said, you need to find the right amount of intensity and volume that's appropriate for your goal so you could get the results that you want. So again, if we look at the optimal training range, both ends, they're not good. They're both extremes. Now, too much intensity and too much volume, not good, could lead to injury. Too little intensity and too little volume, not good, because you're not really getting too much from your workout. All right, so let's take a look at a few scenarios where too little intensity and too little volume can come into play. And the first is with a total beginner. You know, when I usually start off with someone who hasn't worked out before, usually I have them using very light weight, and that's because if someone hasn't worked out before, normally they don't have the body control to do an exercise correctly. Now, using light weight for them is appropriate, but since the intensity is low, the volume needs to be a little higher in this case. So more reps, more sets, maybe a slower tempo so they get more time under tension. And that way their body can work in their optimal range to get the most results. So remember, less weight, more volume. And for total beginners, their optimal range might be a little lower than some other people. Now, another common time that I see people going too easy is when they are not following a program at all. So if you think about it, a program is kind of like your roadmap to get from where you are right now to your goal. And every time you have a workout, that workout should build upon what you've already done in your previous workouts. And if you think of your body like a car, each workout you do gets you a little closer to your destination. You keep moving towards your goal a little bit more and more each time. But having no program is like saying, hey, I'm living in LA, I want to get to New York, I'm just going to go do a little driving and hopefully I'll get there. You know, maybe you will, but it's not very efficient. What does this have to do with going too easy? Well, there is a principle that I talk about a lot. It's called progressive overload. Talk about this all the time. And basically what this means is over time, your workouts need to be getting harder and harder. And when you do this, you're able to build upon your previous success. It's like in that driving example. If I'm starting at LA, and I want to drive to New York, I start driving, let's say I get to Vegas. The next time I drive, I'm starting at Vegas because I've built upon what I've previously done in the previous workout. So I'm starting at Vegas. I'm not starting all over from LA. Person without progressive overload in the program, each time they drive, they're starting back at square one because they're not building upon their success. All those miles that they've driven, they have to do them over because they're doing the same exact thing. In driving, doesn't make sense. And when you think about it, in a workout, it doesn't make sense for that either. But if you walk into a commercial gym, you'll see these people all the time. These people, they've been coming in for years, doing the exact same workout. Same weight, same tempo, same reps, same sets. The intensity, volume, they have been the same for years. And so have their results. And that is not what you want to happen. So how can we create a change in the body to solve this issue? Well, if we want to keep getting results, we need to increase the intensity and or the volume over time. Now, it doesn't need to be every single workout, but over time, we do need to make the workouts more and more challenging by increasing one or more of these variables. And the easiest way that most people end up doing this is by increasing the intensity by adding more weight. Of course, you do need to control the weight before you add the weight, and you do need to be able to do the movement pattern correctly before you add it, but it's a nice simple way to increase the intensity. We can also increase the volume over time by adjusting the amount of sets that you do in a given workout or the amount of sets that you're doing in a given week. You can also increase the time that your muscle is working under tension by increasing the amount of reps that you're doing or by slowing down that tempo. Another thing you could do is replace a real easy exercise with something that is a lot more challenging. You know, there are endless ways that we could make a workout harder, and a good program should address this. Now, if you are not on a good program, then you're going to need to make sure that on your own, your workouts are getting harder by adjusting some of these variables on your own. All right. Last point though, we talked about an optimal range for your workout. Both extremes aren't good. Too much, not good. Too little, not good. We talked about it in this video and the last. And if you're not sure where you should be, it's probably better to have your workout a little too easy than a little too difficult. The reason, if your workout is too easy, the worst thing that will most likely happen is that you will get nothing. You'll create zero adaptations, you'll get zero results. But if your workout is too hard, there is a higher risk of injury. And if you do get hurt, you will be getting zero results for a long time. So make sure you err on the side of caution, because you could always come back the next workout and make that a little more difficult. And that is it. As usual, there is a link for the notes, the PDF notes in the description. If you like this video, found it helpful, please subscribe to the channel and smash on that like button. I am on Instagram at Professionally Strong. I'm on there every single day. If you want daily tips, motivation, check that out. I am Paul Niyama, and I do want to help you become the best and strongest version of yourself.